Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. I've got a 1v1 for you today, this time on the ranked map Hide, and between MattShadowwing and Diskraip. Both pretty good players. I believe both have been floating around Uber and Platinum for many seasons now, so we should be in for quite a treat here. Let's see what happens. Now, this is Hide, so right between these spawns here, which I've put in picture for you on the right-hand side, you've got this sort of windy, twisty, turny path, which is got lots of choke points there. It looks a bit fancy. If you turn it on its side, you can almost be forgiven for thinking it might be a moustache of some kind. But you've got loads of defense opportunities there, but on the back side of the map is where you're going to get all of your expansions. Now, as our players spawn in, it should be noted that at the time of this recording, this replay is pre-balance patch, so we're still going off the old balance here. So, don't let the colour of the commander fool you. This is Diskraip. Going bots first into air second, bots third. Meanwhile, MattShadowwing on the north there, going bots into air into what I'm guessing is either second air or second bots. I'm gonna go with second bots, but who knows. Both players getting out 2 fabs, possibly a third, maybe a combat fab. There's a lot of Trico around that you can reclaim here. Firefly coming straight out of Diskraip there to see exactly where MattShadowwing is expanding to. There you go, third fabricator, possibly some docks coming up. Oh, fourth fabricator from MattShadowwing. Wasn't expecting that. And from Diskraip as well, blimey. Okay, are we going off in a set of 3 and a 1, or 2 sets of 2? There are, of course, different ways that you can expand. There's 2 down this sort of narrow corridor, off to the side wing, as it were, the west wing. Or if you go all the way around the back, there. But equally, don't forget there is this bridge to nowhere, as it was so aptly named by Lula in the map overview when it was first released. Lula May, that is. No air fabs coming out as of yet. Firefly has a wander, has a look and see. 4 fabricators going onto the bridge. Interesting. Most interesting. Bomber coming in, sees if it can pick off any fabricators. It won't, or at least it shouldn't. But it might do. Wow, it was close. Doesn't quite. Likewise with this docks, there's enough defense here to be able to deal with that. Docks wandering this way as well, just to see in case anyone's expanded to those metal sites over there. Bomb will go and deal with that handsomely. And putting up some point defense on your expansions. There is a bit of an argument to be had between putting point defense up first or factory first on your expansions. A lot of people will swear by factories, and I believe that generally is the way to go at the moment. So potentially here was more of a little insurance policy, as it were, rather than a necessity, considering it was only a single point laser turret plus Galata, just in case any bombers go a peeking. Now we're coming to the end of the build queue here for MattShadowwing. He's at risk of going to idle commander mode. Oh no, he's not. I just had something selected. There we go. That's why I didn't see it. But we are there with Diskraip. We have an idle commander from Diskraip. Not good news. Not good news, my friend. We need some more factories and power generators from you. That is one to watch in the lower picture-in-picture. He is doing okay in terms of his expansion here. He's building up a radar, which is nice. That'll cover all of this approach here. He's just about getting a vehicle factory here on this close approach, which will be good, and minimizing that travel distance. Still idle commander. There we go. Some P-gens. Nice. There we go. Some cheeky docks pushing in from Diskraip to Matt. Got some defensive sparks enhanced though, so they'll be able to shut down these groups of docks. Very nice with their area of effect. Problem is, they're coming over the crest of that ramp, so there's a slight advantage there. Those docks retreating very, very quickly. Indeed. And again, just docks everywhere. It's a really good method of raiding here, is to just keep your opponent guessing as to where you're coming from. Sending small little groups to these expansions, and if you can get there before fabricators really lock it down, you're in for a good run. Now these two here are in for a little bit of a surprise. Diskraip can see them. Has he got anything on its way to deal with them? He does not. I do see an air fabricator though, so that's interesting. And that will, if left unchecked, will expand to all of this rear really, really nicely and pay for itself really well. Double spark incoming here, retreating fabricators. Again, don't need to commit too much army, but it's just enough to peck away, rather than keeping your army stationary in your base, using little bits here and there where it's most going to be painful. There takes out a fabricator, doesn't take out the other three who are now nicely split up, and we have some combat fabs getting the Trico, so watch MattShadowwing there. It'll be sort of darting around 110, 125, that sort of thing will be happening there. And there's fabbers on the back here. Now personally I probably, well, it depends really as to what you know of your opponent as to whether I would get Galata much quicker and faster than that, but you know, Easy's gone risky, getting all the expansion before really locking it down. Shadowwing coming out with his air again, gonna see a few docks up the middle who are gonna push towards these fabs. A couple of shots and one gets taken down. The other docks is eliminated. The other fab though doesn't finish the Galata just yet. He's desperately trying to come back, and the bomber finishes that off. So he can come back with impunity. The Galata is complete, and that has locked that down until some tanks roll in. Pushing through the crater potentially. Around the rock. It's quite a windy miss really between the bases here. Great for grenadiers and shellers. And blue hawks even. And pelters, if you pop one in this little crescent. Can shoot over. Are we seeing our T2s? We are! Diskraip with 50%. MattShadowwing yet to commence T2, that's noteworthy. We're at about 7 minutes-ish. Probably more like 8 at this point. And we haven't seen a T2 from Matt. Loads of T1 factories though. But Diskraip's still outnumbering in terms of factories. I get a lot of that is on the rear of this planet here. These ants trying desperately to lock down this spark. Before it gets to those fabs, it does so. So those fabs, once that factory is up, will have free reign over these 4 mechs, which will be really good. That's exactly what Diskraip wants to do on the backside of this planet. MattShadowwing though, with a big army now pushing out the middle. A nice mix of sparks, ants, and some spinners and an inferno in there as well. We've even got, this is good, some skitters. That's very wise. On a map with this much Trico, players are going to have combat fabs, and when you've got combat fabs, you have the chance of mines being placed. So not only are these guys seeing in distance, but they're also potential mine detectors. So that's really wise, especially on this map where mines can just hold off these choke points and decimate armies that try to push through. Really good job there, and there's not a lot in terms of the defense here of Diskraip to be able to deal with this. We've got a couple of turrets desperately going up as fast as is robotically possible. We've got some locusts coming out. They aren't going to be able to do anything against this army. Diddly squat, or the square root thereof. And we've got slammers coming out, and a ghillie as well. They might just about be able to hold this off. Can we get some walls up in front of these turrets to really soften the blow? Slammers don't want to be sat underneath those bombers. They are taking a few hits there, weakened a little bit. They do have the stopping power to be able to shoot through these trees, unlike the docks. The sparks can just about, it's a bit temperamental, dancing those slammers as much as possible. But there, MattShadowwing skirting past those point defense. We've got some ghillies coming out now as well. We've got the fabbers boosting that T2 factory rather than building multiple, and we've got the commander on the front lines ready for his uber cannon. The problem is the army is going over the bridge and will take out more metal. Interestingly, Diskraip hasn't expanded to those 3 there. That really surprises me, but look at this airfab that I told you about earlier. Look at its expansion. Picked up 5 mechs and produced a naval factory, which will be a bit of a thorn in Matt's side when it really gets going. You can get some orcas on here and really lock down this bridge and these expansions, but I think it's the locusts that are really going to be doing the damage. We've got to say goodbye to that bridge to nowhere here. These locusts potentially could do some work. They've got to avoid these tanks. There we go. 1 left moving into the army directly. Not great news. You really want to be scouting before that. Let's have a look at what Diskraip can see. He hadn't scouted. Especially when you're using locusts with their limited range, you want to be scouting. You really, really do. Their vision range is tiny. Could just about see to the end of their noses if they had them. Conversely, what can Matt see? He's got his radars up, which is nice. He's got T2 vehicles coming out with the levelers there, so that's going to be a really good defensive bonus, as it were. And if he can get some shellers out, which are going to be able to shoot over these mountains, that'll really push him well into the next part of this game. And he still has some of this army here. The Slammers will mop it up. And in terms of the eco, though, he hasn't really expanded on the rear of this planet. Let's go back into all, and we'll see just how much Diskraip has expanded now. Even though Matt raided all of this from Disk is still in the lead economically speaking. And he's not doing a whole lot of tree reclaiming. That should speak volumes as to the different players' expansions here. So Disk with this army, let's have a count. Lots of docks, 5 ghillies and a slammer. A few tanks in there. Defensive force of a bunch of levelers, a bunch of sparks and a few docks. Let's see even Stevens, especially if this aggressive army can kite and duck and weave. And they've got the combat fabs in there doing a bit of mending, the healing. Stitching up, as it were. Popping up some mines here and there. Gonna try and kite this army through them. Again, the ghillies really good at doing that. As long as you have vision range or radar range, those ghillies will just keep picking away. There we go. Mine hits its target, takes out 2. And this is where shellers would be really good. These vehicles wouldn't have to push into the line of sight of the ghillies. There's the power of the Blue Hawks, look. Just like the shellers, can shoot over all of these geographical obstructions. That looking a little flimsy. He really needs to expand. He's doing some nice raiding on the other side of the planet, though. Pinching Diskraip a little bit. Diskraip, though, going for the T2 naval. Now, if he can get some Leviathans or Typhoons out of that, you can probably call it game right there. And Matt doesn't know about it. He knows that there's something there, but he hasn't bothered to scout it. The moment he realises there's naval in the water here, he's going to start being worried. I'll tell you that for nothing. He's going to start getting worried, and he's going to want to come over here with this air and see exactly what's going on. But these air fabs have really, really paid for themselves. There we go. So Matt here with 2 separate forces, but Diskraip coming in the main front. Can he make this one count? The locusts are more like a distraction for those bombers than anything else, but this army around the back should be able to mop this up if it's microed well enough. This frontal force will take out this base if it has the gusto. Blue Hawks will be able to deal with these nicely as soon as they start targeting them along with the ghillies. So many fabs there assisting that factory, that's ridiculous. 24 fabs total for Diskraip, and 18 of them assisting that factory. That's unheard of. Well, not all of them. I was going to say the eco for that would be astounding. 8, 9, 10, 11 assisting by the looks of things. This army here, though, this is a whopper. And there's a commander right there. What can Diskraip do? Can he get that commander? They're getting hit by the ghillies. Can the Blue Hawks take it out? Meanwhile, on the South Pole here, with Matt. Matt needs to push in here. He has an opportunity. Diskraip's commander's running away, and Diskraip's force has wilted. Disk now without any defensive units, and suddenly, somehow, despite having a superior economy, is looking very, very flimsy indeed. He's fighting him with this Faber army there, which has just evaporated. We're still building locusts. I don't know why. We've got a lot of spinners in there to deal with any defensive bombers, and there go all the slammers, and there's loads of levelers in there. No amount of uber cannons are going to deal with that, especially when a commander is being blocked from his retreat by his slammers. That is game. MattShadowwing pulls it out of the bag there. How did that happen? Possibly the defensive vehicles versus the bots. Let's go back a little bit, because I wonder if, despite having a larger economy where the Disk was stalling, he was not. He was in the green the whole time. It must be the trades. This army, as it pushed out front... Let's watch this trade here. Oh, it's a bit far back. There we go. So not many in terms of the defense there, but the kiting wasn't so good. The micro of those Blue Hawks to deal with those levelers before they killed off quite so much wasn't fantastic. Yet more levelers coming out, and they weren't being focused. The Blue Hawks were just left to shoot off power generators and factories. Not what you want. Oh, and look at this. These ants coming in from behind, going to pick off those Blue Hawks. Oh, that's nasty. What happened here? Where did this army go? It must have just lacked micro there. Oh, he aggroed the factory, look! He aggroed the factory! Oh, no! He started shooting at the factory instead of the units coming out of it. That, or he aggroed the commander. I think he aggroed the factory. Not good. He had the opportunity there. With a slightly better microed army, that would have been game. Let's see what he could see. Could he see the commander there? He must not have been able to see the commander. He did! He just... If only those Blue Hawks were in range. They were! But they just didn't target. Those 4 Blue Hawks and that ghillie... 5 Blue Hawks by rights, and that ghillie should have had that commander banged to rights. Astounding. Well, that was that game, folks. Hope you enjoyed it. That was MattShadowwing versus Diskraip. And don't forget to subscribe. And also follow me on Twitch. I've been streaming a lot more recently. Link down in the description, or twitch.tv/WPMarshall. And until next time, folks, I've been Marshall, and have a good one.